each and every day that we live, that we choose to do what's right no matter what. Father, please bless this county, this state, this country. Let us turn to you, Father, for all of our answers. Please, if anybody has anything against us, Father, let us readily forgive them. Please, we would ask if we've done anything contrary to your word, would you please forgive us. Father, again, thank you for your son, Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Okay, we've thrown this 911 board around since last week. Candace, do you want to?
I'd like to tell you, if you recall, the ordinance says, with this, back in 2013, this originated in a case styled, I believe it was in Campbell County, Kentucky. Campbell County, Kentucky then passed a 911 ordinance where they said the fee for the 911s could be placed on the tax bills. In this case, I believe they did that in August 2013, and the tax bills, they allowed the fee to be placed on the 2013 tax bills that year. The people who owned the apartments sued, I believe it was Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Apartments Association, that sued Circuit Court. Circuit Court ruled in their favor. Then it was transferred to the Kentucky Supreme Court. Kentucky Supreme Court, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, October 29, 2015, ruled that they upheld the fee that was assessed.
So it went to the Court of Appeal. The one in Court of Appeal went on Supreme Court.
No, the Court of Appeals didn't hear it because all the parties agreed to send it straight to expedite the matter and let the Supreme Court rule on it because so many people was affected would be affected. Supreme Court on October 29th ruled that this was permissible because it's such a much needed service and because, let's face it, everybody knows most of your fees for telephones, the $1 does not generate enough income to provide for this much needed service. Most people have cell phones or computers. They don't use the telephones anymore. And fiscal courts would, scrap to come up with the money to pay it. So they did that. They approved it. Then we adopted their ordinance pretty much verbatim. All we did, just like other counties that were doing it, we agreed to put ours on it. And this just affects people who have an occupied residential or an occupied commercial building on January the 1st of 2015. We did that, I believe, in December. We had 2 readings of the ordinance in December. The resolution was finally passed. The ordinance was finally passed December the 17th, if I'm not mistaken, 2015. Is that correct? Now, part of the ordinance requires us to form an appeals board. That's done because all of our tax bills, I believe there's 7,200 tax bills are sent out. If I'm not mistaken, correct me, Rhonda, all of them will have that $75 911 fee on it. We can't help that because the PVA's office does not have the software to change that. And the tax bills are already mailed out. That's the sad part about it. So if the court's going to continue with this, they would have to appoint a board of appeals. And I don't want to sound redundant, but I've told this court time after time after time, this is going to be unbelievable amount of work for who this board is. Can you imagine how many people doesn't have occupied residential or occupied commercial unit on these 7,200 tax bills? So you're going to have to form a board. The board's going to have to be send out notices. They're going to be just like us. The open minutes laws and open records laws are going to apply to this board. They're going to have to advertise dates. You're going to have to get somebody who's willing to sit down and to listen to all of these complaints and make a written determination so that they can send it to the sheriff's office so the sheriff's office can justify not collecting that fee. Because, the sheriff cannot set partial payments. It's sad, but he cannot do it by law. So there's where we're at. We'll continue to do this. My suggestion is, and after talking to people at Frankfurt, after talking to several people, after doing research, again, we had to create an appeals board to hear all this. And then they would get together and they could make a determination when they're going to meet. They'd have to advertise it to the public, what days, what hours, what they would ask to bring in. It's pretty cut and dried on your bills that would say no improvements. That would be simple. But God knows how many bills people are going to come in and contest, even though it says improvements on it, that they'll have to listen to proof and see whether or not they were in fact, occupied on that day. That's my legal advice.
Can the court just go ahead and the ones that says no improvement, so take that, have them not have to pay that?
You would have
Does
to,
that have to go through
to the board, yeah.
the board too? I don't know.
And then the board signs the form, they take the form to the sheriff's office and pay the bill.
Yes.
Just on both of them, just,
We're talking about 911. Yeah. And that's the process you have to go through. Trust me, folks, it's going to take some time. Like we said, this is new, it's first year. It was done rather quickly, but we still have to comply with the law no matter what we did. And that's what has to be done. And the sheriff's office, and I feel sorry for the board and the sheriff's office. Can you imagine how many he's going to have to see? Your pleasure. We have a resolution that the ordinance says for the judge and the court to appoint the board. I don't know if you have 3 people in mind, or how many that's your all's determination. Let us know, and we will do whatever is necessary to comply.
Yeah, we got the resolution and everything here. The thing that bothers me most about it is I don't know that, I thought we could appoint 3 different people that could sign the thing and go on over and do it.
I wish we could, but we have to answer because
I
people,
guess that's what he's saying.
you're dealing with taxpayer money.
You said we had to have a call meeting, advertise.
every time they do it, he's saying that.
Why can't we just set a meeting time for like the next 2 months
That
and
would
have
be
that
the
same
board
meeting
have to do
time?
that. They would have to do that. Yes.
They do a meeting like Tuesday and Thursday, 8 to 12.
That board.
These are the dates we're going to meet. Or they could do one morning session on Tuesday, one afternoon session on Thursday, have the same set meeting time. And that way everybody will know, come on,
First of all, I know I was told I was gonna be on that board, so my question is, who sets the criteria of what can be, I know if it's unoccupied, that's pretty simple,
Yes.
but if you've got 3,000 people that comes in and says, mine is just a smokehouse, a barn, blah, blah,
That would
blah.
be the board's decision, Mike. You'd probably, there's several things you could do. We could ask around, there's another board that's in place in Kansas County. I think they look at having them bring in a copy of, like their electric bill, current electric bill, water bill. There's several different things the board could come up with and, advertise what they would want them to bring in to make that determination before you can make it.
But once again, what I'm saying is, I'm sure this board in Campbell County, and I will call them, I'm sure they do it months before
You're listening.
taxes.
Bad year.
We're trying to do it while,
That's what I've said.
we're trying to do it while
That's our
people are
problem.
paying the taxes.
Yes.
So, what scares me is you have just said that, we're open, we're subject to open records laws and all these things. And so therefore, if we mess up on one, just saying, well, okay,
I agree totally, Mike. I can just tell you what, I agree. I see a problem, and I've told you from day one.
Well,
Because we didn't do it to these people,
well, I voted against 911 tech to begin with, and we're talking about how hard it's going to be for the board, how hard it's going to be for the sheriff. It's also going to be hard for the people out here in the community to get all this stuff and prove it,
I agree.
and prove that they've made improvements, so they can make improvements.
It's already on the tax bill if there's an improvement or
Yes.
not. It's already listed there on the
That
tax
wouldn't be
bill.
your problem. The problem would be whether or not it was occupied.
Yeah, but we have to do this, Can it be on the tax bill?
It's already on the
I mean,
tax bill.
okay, but
Tax
if all this
bill's
stuff
been
is, if it's not.
It can't be next year, hopefully. I was told by the PBA, Judge, can you correct me if I'm mistaken, that he said was not going to be able, and Rhonda, you worked with him now, is he going to have that capability of doing that next year?
That's my understanding.
That's
Someone
what I
gets us
thought.
the
I don't
software.
know. I can speak for his office.
Let me ask you another question, Candace, and then if this board appointed by the fiscal court decides that, okay, this person is exempt, and then somebody that they decide isn't exempt, can the board be sued personally?
Anybody can be sued.
I know, but I mean, are we liable?
I don't think they would sue the court because the court's.
I don't worry about suing you. Well, they won't sue me.
Anybody can sue anybody. If you got
I'm all for it, then, I'll for it.
So what he's saying is, it's not been said, it's for this year on. Next year, they'll have a certain date, like the car tax, they'll have a certain date to come in. If it's on their tax bill, they'll have a certain date to come in, it'll probably be somewhere in June, July, somewhere. And then the board will have plenty of time for a tax bill to be printed to say, you know, this person here come in and we think it ought to be taken off. But here, where we've had to do this so fast, has made it very difficult when the tax bills are in the mail. Made it very difficult for everybody to be able to, you know, this board would have to meet 2 or 3 times a week.
I don't know if that would even do it.
And I do know that we need the money desperately, not saying I can make a budget without it, but anytime that you pull money from the budget, it's gonna have to come someplace else. You all understand that. We're in desperate need of some help at 911, we budgeted $234,000, and
What do you
that's
take
not
in?
enough.
It's not nearly enough necessary.
So what are you suggesting? We go ahead and form the board and move forward?
Well, that's a court decision, guys.
Wade through it?
I don't know that,
Well, myself, I think we probably need to do that, because the way I feel about it, I don't think that they should have to pay for 911 fee if they don't have a building, no. If they don't have a building in the place.
I don't think.
You know, I don't think they got to pay.
I make a motion, we form the board and move forward.
Got a
Victor,
motion?
may I speak or am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is there something called a non-contempt order that can be put in place? Now, I'm not saying this can happen, but isn't there something, I think I've got those words right, I hope I have. I remember when I was clerk, you could enter an order that took effect as if it happened at that time. Maybe if we just did away with the whole 9/11 for 2015, and then everybody's aware of it
The
in
court
2016.
could amend the ordinance
That
and
just
say the effective date.
I'm just asking, can that be
The
done?
court-
just
they would
asked
have to-
And he said, yeah, we
The
could
court
do
can
that.
amend it, but it's up to the court, you know, it's God as it is on.
Make the motion.
I just wanted to know that.
Move forward.
Got a motion to move forward now, second?
I see.
Got a second? All in favor?
No.
Yeah.
We have to,
It should be in everybody's packet, is it not?
yes. You
There
have
is
it?
a draft resolution.
Yes, we have the resolution on it. You need to read it.
My thought, is it gonna be legal if we do it this way? If we've got all these laws and regulations, we gotta go by them, we ain't gonna see it, can we?
Well, you've done the ordinance right. There is, let me tell you, and be upfront with you. There was a motion, a petition for the Supreme Court to rehear this matter filed by the appellants in the case where they lost. And, you know, there's a possibility that it could be set aside, but, you know, that's not done yet. So far, the Kentucky law is, what the Supreme Court decision says, you can do that.
So I thought they had asked and they wouldn't hear.
Do what
I
now?
thought they had asked after looking, they just wouldn't hear.
I've not been told that. There was a petition filed for the rehearing. I do not have that information that they declined to hear it. I can get that to the court, but I don't have that. I don't want to tell the court that.
Resolution to establish a 911 fee assessment board for Martin County. Whereas Martin County Fiscal Court has declared its support of enhanced 911 fees on property in Martin County, Kentucky, by ordinance recorded in Martin County Fiscal Court book, blank, pages, blank, based and adopted on December 17th, 2015. Whereas the Martin County Fiscal Court seeks to establish a Martin County 911 fee assessment board to review property owner appeals of the enhanced 911 fee. Therefore, be it resolved that the Martin County 911 fee assessment board shall be comprised of 3 residents appointed by the Martin County Fiscal Court. The Martin County Fiscal Court hereby appoints the following individuals to the 911 fee assessment board: Mike Crum, Teresa Fraley, Janetta Goble. Appointees shall serve a term of 3 years and may be appointed for 1 additional term. The Martin County Fiscal Court shall appoint a county resident to fill the unexpired term of any vacancy occurring in the authority. Members shall serve without compensation, but shall be reimbursed for necessary travel and per diem expenses in the manner and amount provided to other county employees. Further resolved that the members of the Martin County 911 Fee Assessment Board shall make determinations regarding the applicability of the enhanced 911 fee for taxpayers who may dispute the fee on their property. The findings will be based on fact presented by the property owner. Presented and adopted this first day of February 2016.
Motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Let me ask you all, I think that this becomes into a lot of work that, we might have to come back and approve a fee meeting, fee for meeting, if it becomes too much of a hassle for these folks.
I misunderstood. Fee, what kind
I
of fee?
said that if it becomes a tremendous amount of work and they have to go check, I think there ought to be a fee. If it comes to that point. Now, next year I know it ain't be no problem.
Oh, you mean compensate the people for the extra work if they gotta do an extra?
We gotta approve the 2 forms. Do we gotta do that? Wasn't that?
That would be up to the board. We could give them a
I just
copy,
wanted
but
you
the
to
board
have
would
the
have to make
copies of
that
what they
decision.
Okay. Amend the FAR ordinance, what's that?
This was, if you recall, I believe last time, Thursday night, Ms. Horn asked the court do an amendment to the to the fire fee ordinance. She said some people had called her and said that they did not, were not aware of the January the 15th date. If you recall again, this ordinance was passed in December again. It was read twice, it was publicized. I believe it was approved also December the 17th, second reading. It was advertised, it was on social media. And if you recall, the forms to opt out was in the office of the county court clerk, Susie Scott. People came in, got them, then they had to go to Mr. Hale's office or PBA's office and get the tax bill numbers of their old bills that they wished to opt out on. Some people even had to go check the deeds and everything. After that was done, from Susie's office to Mr. Hale's office, correct me, I believe the sheriff was here, then over 200 some people came.
446.
446
properties.
Yeah, but I'm talking about how many people, John? Well, 446 some properties had to be individually done, one by one, by your staff to, make sure it went on the property bills this year. Now, if you want to amend this, again, you see what problem you're going to have. Somebody's going to have to do this again. They're already on the tax bills, and what's really frightening, tax bills is done out. People have them now. So you would have to create another board, I believe, to do this, to make sure that the sheriff would have something to protect them when an audit is done.
So what's the choices?
So you can do what you want. I just wanted to tell you.
Make a motion to leave it as is and move forward.
Got a motion, leave it as is. Got a second?
I said,
All in favor?
Yes.
No.
no.
Was that 3 no's?
So you got 3 to 3.
Well, what it was, people didn't have time to go in and opt out on it.
They had January the 15th.
When we talked them last week on Thursday, people talked to me this weekend, and I told them this weekend.
15 days, 30 days to opt out.
You had, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can look at the court minutes. It was December the 17th when it was passed. It was advertised, and I believe the ordinance says And the advertisement says they have the January the 15th to do.
What do you want to do?
It's 446
Yeah.
properties opted out.
Yes, and those people came in and actually done it on the
We're talking
time,
about
they're for the deadline.
exempting people beyond the January 17th for a property that might not have a structure on it, is that what we're talking about?
No, the park fee is, it's regardless.
Yes.
If
And
you
if you
got
own
any
10 tracks, the
Right.
most you'd have to pay is $90.
Right.
You can't pay more than 3.
Can't
Can't
pay
pay
more than
three.
But I guess what Victor and Gary, and I kind of feel that way, but I kind of feel what you guys too, is, you know, people had a certain day and everything to opt out, and I guess it's for the people who chose not to opt out.
Well, what, a lot of that, like Carolyn said, the paper, but how many people, you know, it was in the paper, but how many people get the paper? You know, probably 10% or 20% of the county, you know, but that's, not everybody reads the paper. That's true. And then we came here Thursday last week and said we was gonna change it to where they could.
They had to opt out.
Well, and another thing, I was going to opt out of it last week, and they would, for this year, they wouldn't let me do it, so it wasn't time to do it, opt out. I think if they should be able to opt out this year, anytime they want to, it's 2016.
Do we have?
But they can't, there's a certain time that you gotta go ahead and do it.
It's up to you all.
So you're all wanting to give the sheriff the right to just remove that $30 off anybody who wants it, right?
Well, I didn't think about that, but it could.
Up to that deadline, they had the right anyway, but the deadline, well, that's the problem, if the deadline run out, but
Yeah.
well, I feel about that. If they want to opt out this year, since it came so late in the year, if they want to opt out, that's the way I feel about it, you know, but that's everybody else.
But who will, John will have to have something from somebody other than himself.
He would have to have a board appointed.
I don't necessarily think you'd have to have a board.
I think he probably would.
I mean, why would you have to have a board when this is an optional thing anyway?
It's optional.
It's optional, but your time has expired to opt out.
Sure.
Officer Joe Broadwater would have to be a board.
Yes.
She said,
I don't
Officer
know.
Joe Broadwater would have to be a fire board. Because here's what happens, I have to answer to the auditor. If something is on a bill, and I've got a bill, so okay, so how come I didn't?
So can this fiscal court just go ahead and say, we're the board, if somebody comes in, opt out, opt out?
You would have to appoint it, you'd have to get.
No, I'm saying this court
give
gives them authorization. If anybody comes in there and wants to opt out and they vote on it, shouldn't that be enough? You can take it to court and say, here, they told me I can do this.
I don't know, I don't want to call the Department of Revenue, because we called this morning, they said, I understand that we need a board. I don't know if this court could do it, but I don't care to ask. But let me tell you a problem, another thing. You don't realize the time frame you have here is closing in on you. These bills has already been sent out. Do you know that? You've got, I think, what, 4-week period to get the discount?
Yeah, here's the deal, guys, and I just found out this morning, this is gonna cause me all kinds of headaches. By us waiting so long, us in the county, as a whole, to approve these taxes and stuff, we get a calendar from the state, okay, every year that we're supposed to do these things by, supposed to get our taxes out, supposed to do this. Well, it's too late for us to go by that calendar now. And we were supposed to have advertised in the newspaper before the bills were even printed, okay? And we thought that the taxes were going to come out sometime the last of this month, or March. And they finally got it through enough and pushed it through, and it came out, and we haven't had time to advertise. We have to get this approved through the revenue department, our collection dates, okay? I can't, there have been people come to my office that want to pay their taxes. I can't let them pay their taxes until we advertise in the paper, and we got to get these dates approved. I mean, it's backwards, everything's backwards where we waited so long to do this. And the thing about this is we didn't know this because Wyman had already started collecting taxes. Susie didn't know this because we weren't in that phase last year. They were already collecting taxes, all these had already been set. So me and Susie are the ones that's kind of going to look like the bad people. And we're totally innocent. We didn't know.
And getting all the work.
We're doing the work.
I can't see how it's so hard, somebody just walk in and sign a piece of paper, say, I opt out of the far food
You've got,
this year.
Okay, it could, John, what I'm saying is the auditor, who I have to answer to, is I've got to be able to show, I'm
Well, now, we said we was gonna appoint a board.
Okay, you have to have it, you have to have a
Remember that,
fire.
Kelly? Because we gonna
Not for the far field.
According to the auditor's office, is what they told my wife, we have to have a fire board. And listen, when I write these checks, it's my understanding,
goes to the fire
I
board.
have to write the checks to the fire board, not to the individual fire departments. And then the fire board will write these checks to the fire department.
Right.
And listen, you
It's a
can,
whole lot for fire.
That's what I thought we was gonna do.
let me make a statement. You can address that for next year. This year's already, if you want to change it this year, you can. Yeah, I'm just saying, you can address this next year to amend your ordinance if you want. But this year, you see the time constraints you're under, you see all the work that these people who come into office are under. Do you see the possibility of all these people going to lose up to, what, 2% discount? Is that 2% discount, am I correct? That's a real possibility. Over God knows how many people that may or may not want to
Got a
opt
motion,
out.
got a second, got about 3-3, so.
Stan,
Make a motion, we leave it as is and move forward.
So moving on from this point, if they wanted to opt out.
They can't,
they can next year, not this year.
Right.
but they have to do it
Past
this
the
year.
deadline.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But they have to opt out this
If
year
we were
or
gonna-
next year.
If we were gonna extend it to where they could opt out beyond the deadline, we would have to.
And you kind of see what they would have to do, then have to
Right.
do it all. But it's up to you. You're okay.
I'll make a motion to leave it like it is. Move forward.
I got a motion, second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no.
4-2. Surplus property sale, guys. We had a little public auction. We had one bidder. Bid the amount that didn't meet the reserve. James was down there, Gary was down there. It was a no sale. Keenest told me after the thing, we had two choices to do. We can competitively negotiate with the only one bidder that we had. And I have done that.
Let me tell you what I said. KRS 670802 says if the county receives no bid from the real or personal property at a public auction, which we had, and it didn't bring the amount, the property may be disposed of consistent with the public's interest in any manner deemed appropriate by the county. In these instances, again, a written determination of the property, that's the after-hours clinic, we would have to do that in writing. The method it's going to be disposed of, we will sell it to an individual or do sealed bids or another public auction, and the amount of the compensation, if any, and any funds shall be transferred to the general fund of the county. I want to put that in the records. So-
What we've done, what has happened, that transpired this morning, Mr. Ansel Lewis come to my office this morning, and we kind of negotiated around that. And we've come up with another figure that I want to present to you guys, instead of going through the process of a sealed bid and doing it again. He's offered $980,000 plus pay the electricity on our portion of the building until 911 moves, and it really didn't. We put 6 months, he said if it took longer than 6 months, he would assume that. And that will be my recommendation to you all guys, to take the 980
And that's correct, you offered to pay the utilities for the 911 section and allow it to remain there.
Yes, that's correct. You know, the
For the 980,000,
$980,000. Our
We'll get
portion,
it, he wants the deed as we got it, and that was gonna be that way anyway.
Yes, no warranty.
Check for $980,000 and pay the electricity until 911 moves. Is that correct, Mr. Wilson?
yes.
My
You can-
recommendation to accept that offer.
You can pay within 15 days, I think that's what the court said.
February 15th is the
No.
date.
Yeah, February
You
15th.
can do that. The court, it's up to the court, that's part of the statute, says the court can do, since we did not get a bid that matched the reserve.
Motion.
What is the electric bill, about $1,000 a month or something?
Probably about that, and see if they according, I guess, the
Well,
total.
it depends, yeah.
That's all
Make that
there
motion to
is.
accept the bid.
Got a motion to accept 900 megahertz electric, got a second, all in favor?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
May I ask you, if you had a question here?
You got to adjourn.
May I get your information and everything too?
Yes.
They want the deeds in, too.
I'm sorry.
I need the information for the grantee to put in the deed. Your company?
If you can come down the stairs, Keenan or Lynette can take care of that for you.
Yes, sir, you have a,
Motion to adjourn.
you had a comment?
Hang on, well, I got a question. It's very, very hard to hear here. I mean, you can't hear anything that's going on. The motions that you all made on the fire fee and on the 911 fee, what were they?
The motion was to keep it as is, on the fire fee, is to keep that fee on, not to extend the time limit because of all the added work that it would place on the sheriff and the clerk's office and BBA. And then on the 911, they appointed a board to proceed.
Yeah, I understand it, but if somebody's required to pay the 911 fee, I mean, if it can't be placed
No,
on.
no. That's what you got this board for. It has to be, make you pay, it has to be occupied, residential or occupied commercial piece of property. If it's not occupied, you don't pay it.
Okay, but how can John collect it when it's not going to be on the tax bill?
It's on the tax bill.
It
Yes.
is on the tax
That's
bill?
right, he's got a tax bill,
Okay,
it's
okay.
on
I
it.
thought-
They done been paying it. I understand. It shocked me too. It shocked me.
Well, see, I thought John said that you didn't have the salt.
No, it's already printed. That's what the problem is. I wish it was. I just think it's.
I need to ask one more question.
Okay.
I need to ask
Okay, all these
When
pins.
you all get the money for the money for the funding that's going to be placed into this year's budget, you are aware that you have to do a budget amendment to reflect where that money's going to go? Correct?
You can't hear it. The budget would have to be amended to show, and I'm sure it's going to be used to pay off bills.
Yes.